downtown Port Allen, just across the Mississippi River Bridge from Baton Rouge. I'm here in the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame studios, and we're presented by L'Auberge Casino in Baton Rouge, where tonight you want to be there in the Stadium Sports Bar watching the Final Four championship game, North Carolina, Kansas. This is going to be an epic matchup of a number 1 seed taking on somewhat of a Cinderella in North Carolina, a number 8 seed. If I were to tell you Kansas, North Carolina, you wouldn't think Cinderella, but because North Carolina was an 8 seed and was super inconsistent during the year, it is a little bit of an upset, although they have played fantastic over the last 30 days. Today we'll talk about that game. Also, the games on Saturday, as Meat and Potatoes USA went 4-0 on Saturday. They'll have some winners for you tonight as well. And we'll get into LSU baseball. Speaking of non-winners, or winners that were a winner a week ago, but the LSU loses 2 out of 3 to Auburn. We'll have some thoughts. They've got a week. They got Grambling on Tuesday. They got Mississippi State on the road in Stark Vegas on Saturday. So we'll throw out a Starkville joke for you as well. And we'll get into the Masters. It's Masters week. Will Tiger play? Will he not play? Will Buzzy Heidel pull a hamstring as a gallery guard this week? Or will he not? We'll tell you what the lines are on meatandpotatoesusa.com and a whole lot more. Let's bring in TK. TK, first off, let's go to Saturday. Let's go backwards before we go forwards. I've never been as excited for a basketball game that didn't involve LSU or, than I was for Kansas and Duke. For Duke and North Carolina, and it lived up to the hype. It ended up being Coach K's final game. North Carolina came from behind to win. Both teams had a chance in the last minute of the game. It was awesome.
Yeah, it really was. It was 20 lead changes. It was unbelievable. Like Kent Lowe made a great point on Hold the Rope Radio last night. He said so much expectation and build-up and hype for that game, and then it lived up to it. And here's one for you. Skip Bertman said he watched that game from the opening tip until the clock said 0. And he said he doesn't always do that,
right,
with the game, especially not involving LSU. So it was unbelievable. I mean, the 20 lead changes, an incredible amount of talent on the floor. A couple of things I didn't like. Can I go down that road? Duke not shaking hands after the game. Only Coach K and one player shook hands. I think that's terrible. That's no class. And then we need a little more talk about Hubert Davis. I mean, if they win tonight, an 8 seed, that'd be the lowest seed to ever win a national title. They lost to Virginia Tech in the second round of the ACC tournament. Since then, they've been unbelievable. Hubert Davis needs – college basketball is a coach's game. The NBA is a player's game as far as all the publicity. I get that. And I get the impact Coach K has made on college basketball worldwide, not just in the United States and in the NCAA, because he's worked with Team USA, et cetera. So, I just thought, Hubert Davis didn't get enough credit. And, tonight, Kansas dominated Villanova. That was kind of over as soon as it started. Kansas looked very good. So now that leads to two things, a couple of things going into tonight's game, Ronnie. Kansas doesn't have a lot of depth. They let the guys play Saturday. I thought the officiating was very good. If Kansas gets in foul trouble, that's not good tonight. Here's the question for North Carolina. Armando Bacot got hurt near the end of that game against Duke. Now, he got back out on the floor. Ronnie, you and I both know as being former athletes, you get hurt when Bacot got hurt, you can go back on the floor and survive with adrenaline and pumped, and you got 60,000 people, and you're playing your rival, blah, blah, blah. What did that ankle feel like yesterday and last night, and what will it feel like going into tonight? That's a question for North Carolina. Kansas is a 4 or 4.5 point favorite. Over and under is 154. Man, it's tough. I picked Carolina to win it all last week. I bet them on the money line for that, but I don't know if they can win tonight. I'm like crunching numbers all day today.
The game on Saturday, for me, love for North Carolina is the real deal. He is going to be a heck of an NBA player because the guy can get his shot off, can create. He's come into his own in the tournament. He has made some big, giant clutch buckets, and he is a prolific scorer. And so he is going to be a heck of an NBA player and has made a lot of money for himself over the last 30 days. Duke had a 3-point lead at halftime. Free throws. How about this? We talk so much about athleticism. We talk so much about this, that, and the other. Duke shot, at one point, I don't know what the actual final numbers were. I think with a minute to go, they were 12 of 20 from the free throw line.
And they missed 3 out of 4 late. 3 out of 4 late. That was critical.
In a close game like that, if you shoot, 80, 75, 80% as a team, that's the difference in the game down the stretch as far as being tied or untied or whatever. Both teams actually missed some big free throws at the end of the game, but Duke over the course of the game missed a lot of free throws, more than they're accustomed to. And that, if you're looking for something easy, a lot of the other numbers were pretty similar. That was just the one big thing that stood out. Oh, by the way, that the number landed on 158, right? Total. Well, the over-under was 156, 158?
153 and a half.
Okay, so it went way down. Okay. It went way down. And you ended up flipping? You took the over, or did you not bet that?
I didn't bet the over and under, but on Sports Shorts Radio, I said I liked the under, so I missed that. But no. Right. Because again, the lead changes. And, as Skip Bertman said last night, they played so fast. Whoever crossed half court pretty much shot. It was unbelievable. And it was great to see such a huge crowd. The Superdome looked great. They say the city of New Orleans have been buzzing for days, and I'm sure it's going to buzz all day today into the game tonight.
Yeah, I went to a party that John Brady threw on Saturday down in New Orleans at Desi Vega's restaurant. And, Tim Floyd was there. Andy Kennedy, the old Ole Miss coach, was there. The current Tulane coach and many other coaches. Butch Pierre was in the house.
Cool.
Good to see Butch. But it was a good atmosphere, a lot of fun to watch some of the games. And obviously the weather was great this past weekend in New Orleans, and it did remind you of old, where you saw all the colors represented, all the Duke fans, and North Carolina fans, and Kansas fans. The only thing I didn't see a lot of Villanova fans. I saw a few. Saw a lot of Kansas, Duke, and North Carolina, which you would expect. Those three are, as Chance hates, the blue bloods of the world, but they are the blue bloods of the world, and they have the big giant fan bases that are rabid fans, and they showed up in full force, and they were everywhere, and it was a good crowd, and everybody was super excited and everything like that. I personally didn't really care who won on Saturday. Just wanted good games. I knew that, and I wish I'd have put my money where my mouth was, Tommy. I all week long said that Kansas was going to blow out Villanova, because Villanova only went 6 deep, and one of those 6 was out, not going to play in the game. And I just got tied up and got busy and just literally forgot to place a bet. I would have placed a pretty large one on Kansas to cover the 4, and they never were in jeopardy. They dominated that whole game. But as far as North Carolina Duke went, I didn't bet it. If I would have taken North Carolina in the points, just because I felt like it was going to be a close game, and the likelihood of Duke blowing them out was not there. But I enjoyed just watching it instead as a fan. I was pulling for Coach K personally, because I like the storyline, winning the national championship in its final season and all that kind of stuff. But there's something about North Carolina and the Superdome. They potentially are going to win their 3rd national championship in that building.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So it was. It was great for college basketball, great for New Orleans and Louisiana. And then, of course, tonight, it'll all be about North Carolina and Kansas. And as Chance said, you got 10 years of academic fraud at North Carolina, and Bill Self and all of his allegations, which are coming down the pipe at some point in the future. So, that'll get – I don't know if the announcers will talk about all that tonight, but it's certainly part of it with North Carolina and Kansas playing tonight. Here's the thing, though, right? Tip-off's not till 8:20 Louisiana time.
I saw it was 8:20. I thought maybe that was Eastern, but it's
it's 8:20 Louisiana. Which how'd you like to be like a kid on the East Coast? Games on the East Coast, it's not going to be over till almost midnight, probably.
Right.
And kids have school tomorrow or whatever. That's kind of. I was shocked.
Unnecessary.
I would have figured 7:30 Louisiana time. Right. But 8:20, and they'll be pretty accurate to hitting that mark. They're pretty good at all that. The event staff and operations people, they get that right more than not.
They're clearly just kind of they want to sell that 7 to 8 o'clock hour, and so with programming, so they're making you watch their 7 to 8 o'clock programming before they hit you with the 8 o'clock. They're just trying to stretch the dollars. Let me ask you this. Let me say this. Mike Tirico who was in New Orleans, he tweeted out how New Orleans is the perfect city to host championships in general, that he was here most recently for the Clemson LSU national championship game back a couple years ago in football, and how he's back for the national championship game in basketball, and how it's just there's no better city hands down. And he's so right, Tommy, and especially when the weather's good, because you can literally walk everywhere. That's the difference between New Orleans and any other city, major city. Maybe throw out Indianapolis is the only thing that's kind of similar, right? It's got the downtown area. The stadium's a downtown. You can kind of walk from the hotels to the bars to the restaurants to the stadium. But that's how it is in New Orleans. Yeah, you'd rather take a Uber. You'd rather have a taxi or a pedicab if you could. But there's only so many of those. So if you have to and you need to walk everywhere, you can. It's only, matter of blocks. I mean, you're not really walking more than about a mile in any direction where you go. So,
and if you get tired of walking, you can pull in and get a beverage and rest for a minute, because there'll be a spot for you to go. But no, it's been said.
Or take it with you. That's okay to do too.
There's been countless people talk about, how many the NFL owners love when the Super Bowl's in New Orleans. The owners do, and the fans love the Sugar Bowl and everything. That you. Like you said, for all the things you said, Ronnie, pretty much walk anywhere you want, carry your drink with you if you want to, put the beer in the cup, whatever you want to do. So it's great to see this. And this is going to be an economic boost big time for greater New Orleans area, and even spill into Baton Rouge where we are a little bit.
All right, let's talk a little bit about LSU baseball, and then we'll also get into the Masters. LSU baseball loses 2 out of 3 over the weekend, Tommy. And my takeaway on it is would this look like the LSU baseball team that we've seen all year long? Minus last Saturday, Sunday. This was what you get with LSU baseball right now. Inconsistent defense. The defense continues to let you down. And while Milazzo's not in there, you're going to have more pass balls and wild pitches than before. Your trade-off is you hope there's more offense coming. And the pitching is at times good, but not great. That's the best you can say about the pitching, is that it can be good, not great. And so it is what it is. I mean, I thought Auburn and LSU were very comparable teams. And they both had top heavy in the lineup. The first 4 hitters for each team were really good. And who could hit at the bottom of the order, who could make the least amount of mistakes, who could pitch the best? Well, it turns out to be Auburn, who's got a nice squad this year.
Well, we're basically a third of the way through the SEC schedule, and LSU's 4-5 in league play. And you are what your record says you are.
By the way, they were 1-8 last year, and at this point.
Yeah, so you are what your record says you are. So they're about a 500 club. The inconsistencies you mentioned, thank goodness that Mikael Hilliard has been able to get 5+ innings going, and keep teams off the scoreboard. It's just, is it going to come together? Is it going to all gel? The offense, the defense, the pitching. I think the pitch is the biggest question mark. Yeah, I know the errors are there, and whatnot, and the timely hitting is not there. Because one of the games they out hit and lost because they didn't get the timely hit. They didn't string them together. They didn't get that 2-out hit that knocked somebody in. So they are what their record is. And look, their next 2 SEC series are on the road at Mississippi State, who's had some injuries and aren't the same team that won the national championship last year. And then they got to go to Arkansas for a Thursday, Friday, Saturday thing, Eastern weekend. So, man, the road is tough. And we're going to see if this team can't put it together. Now, Milazzo's been cleared to come back. Now, my guess is maybe he catches a few late innings against Grambling or some late innings against State to see how the knee responds. Also, Beloso has been cleared to come back. We didn't think that was going to happen. So, maybe that'll be a boost. Maybe that'll fire some people up. I like the fact that the weekend down in Florida, Milazzo was, trying to rev everybody up in the dugout, and it appeared to work a little bit. So we talked about that on the radio. They needed a leader. They needed somebody to take charge like an old Blair Barbier did. And maybe Milazzo is going to fit that role. And if he can get back in the lineup, that may wake everybody up.
Chance says he gets anxiety every time a ball is hit in the infield with LSU baseball. I don't blame you, Chance. It's a hold your breath, no doubt about it. Just don't hold it too long. and it's contagious, it seems like, too, and I believe that baseball definitely is one of those sports that it is contagious, whether it's hitting or consistent pitching.
Ronnie, though, this. You coached for a long time like I did. The kids have to be like, I want the ball hit to me. You can't be like, boy, I hope they don't hit it to me, because guess what? The baseball gods, it's coming right at you. So, the best defense in baseball is when every player wants the ball hit to them. Like, I want it hit to me so I can make a play. That's what the mindset LSU's got to create defensively. Instead of saying, boy, I hope they don't hit it to me. I just made this error, or I don't want another error. You got to turn the page. You got to go forward and say, hey, hit the ball to me so I can make a play and help the team. Chance makes a good point. Travinsky, we got Milazzo's cleared, but it's a little hard to pull Travinsky's bat out of there now. That's why what we talked about on Sports Choice Radio the other day, when you asked me, do you want the catcher that can hit a little bit, or you need somebody to block the ball, throw people out, keep the running game at bay? And that may be what you see, especially because they might want to ease Milazzo back in and not say, hey, you got 9 innings to go.
I mean, Travinsky is – he gives you a threat to run the ball out of the yard or hit the ball off the wall. I mean, he was 0 for 4 on Saturday, and he's still, I think at best at this phase of his career in the SEC, Travinsky's probably at best a 250, 275 hitter, somewhere up in there. Still going to swing and miss a lot. The question just becomes, what can you live with? Because you're going to get a pass ball a game, or you're going to get a ball that's considered a wild pitch that he should have blocked. You're going to get a couple of missed calls because he doesn't quite get that corner when he frames it, or he drops it out of the glove. He's not really going to throw anybody out. So you give up a good bit. It's just a question of, that particular game, are you facing a team that's going to run, or what kind of pitcher's on the mound? I get a little nervous with Travinsky with a runner at third. I got to be honest with you. And LSU throws a lot of fastballs, more fastballs, I think, this year than they have in a while. But when you get a runner at third, you need a big strikeout because it's less than 2 outs. Do you trust throwing that bender in the dirt, and Travinsky blocking it up? And quite honestly, I don't know that I do. But I'll take 250, 275 with a chance to run it out of the yard once a week versus hitting under 200 with no chance. That
I agree.
I think 100 points, Tommy, is the magic number. If there's 100-point difference between production offensively and between the two, you got to go with the 100 points because it's greater.
I agree completely with you on that. Everything you just said, I think is spot on.
All right, so LSU this week they take on Grambling on Tuesday night. Tomorrow night, we know the weather should be fine because the bad weather's coming through tonight.
Well, and into the morning, so
yeah,
should be okay for LSU Grambling tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, because like I said, the bad stuff will be out of here by noon at the absolute latest, and the way that field's tarped and drains, they should be fine. As far as this weekend goes in Stark Vegas, it's going to be a great weekend. This is part of that killer road series, trip, at Florida. They survived that one, 2 out of 3. At Mississippi State, they're going to go at Vanderbilt. We'll see how LSU does. Let's give you one Starkville joke for the road. My cleanest, best Starkville joke that Coach Burtman always says is anytime we go to Starkville, I'd always make sure Virginia, my secretary, she booked me a room without a view because, it's rough.
My favorite one that Skip had is when he said, that there's some severely poor weather rolled right through Starkville and did $2.3 million worth of improvements.
By the way, Starkville, you don't recognize it now, man. Starkville's a lot different now than it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago. It's not Oxford, but it's a lot better to go there as a student and a fan.
Check out Byron.
Maybe they can be motivated by old school trip to Baskin Robbins for an error-free game.
You're welcome, Baskin Robbins, for the free plug.
TCBY, remember that was another good one. They used to have the white chocolate mousse at TCBY right outside the entrance to LSU. Boy, that was always a good little stop. All All right, let's move on to talking Masters Week. Our buddy Buzzy Heidel's has on the uniform. He's working the ropes today on hole number 10 fairway is where Buzzy's working, and they do rotate him a little bit, but for the most time he'll be on the fairway. We'll talk to him a week from now because he'll be, I'll talk to him a couple times at night, but he'll be incommunicado for our show or for next Saturday. So we'll have to get the full debriefing the week after on Sports Church Radio, Saturdays from 10 to noon. We'll be at LeBear's this week. But who do you like? I mean, obviously the storyline, Tommy, let's start with that. Do you think Tiger will play? Because he's saying it's a game what decision?
A tee time decision. He called it a game time decision. The tee times, to my knowledge, haven't been released yet, but that'll probably come out tomorrow. You got the par 3 contest Wednesday. I don't think he'll participate in that. I think he's going to give it a go. Now, might he have to withdraw after day 1 or even after 9 holes? I mean, yeah, you've been to Augusta. I have not. It's more TV doesn't show you just how much elevation and up and down and hilly that it truly is. Now, I've driven past it, and I know that part of the country is full of hills, but I've not been there. So I think Tiger Woods will play. I think the goal would be to try to make the cut. That would remain to be seen. But then you got to look. I mean, meatandpotatoesusa.com is going to have some golf stuff posted later in the week for you. You can bet on matchups. You can bet on guys to win the whole tournament. And usually the odds are pretty high, but you're betting on one guy out of 90 or 91 or 92, which would be the number of people in the field this week at Augusta. I'm looking forward to it.
The story with Tiger Woods, Tommy, is just absolutely blows my mind. I mean, this guy, I never thought if you'd have said a year and 2.5 months ago, if you'd have told me that he was going to play this year in the Masters, I'd have said you're high. And the fact that he is or trying to and going to play some practice rounds. And look, the fact that he's there and he's playing practice rounds, I do believe he's going to play in the Masters. I don't see him making the cut. But what people don't realize is the elevation change and how tough of a walk that is. It's not just a stroll around a golf course. It's up and down big hills. And with that leg and the lack of playing and the lack of walking, I just can't see it happening. But the fact that he's trying and he's healthy enough to even give it a go, and amazing. I mean, this guy is just absolutely built different than the rest of us. And I'm happy for it because golf is better if Tiger Woods is playing. The ratings are better. We care more. The players are more excited about it to be around the legend. They know more people are going to come to the golf course. More people are going to take interest in their sports. Sponsors are going to spend more money as long as Tiger Woods is involved.
I agree with you completely. I said this on Hold the Rope Radio last night. I could be a little off on the numbers, but Tiger's first year on the PGA Tour, the guy who finished last on the money list made like $185,000. The guy that finishes last on the money list last year made over $2 million. So, I mean, that's the impact he has made in the 25-plus years he's been on the tour. I agree with you. It's better for the game of golf if he's there, and I think he's going to try to play. Look, he played with his son in that little thing back in December. Wasn't a PGA event. He actually rode a cart in that. But he's had a lot of time since then to try to build up the stamina and the strength in that leg. And, he's mentally strong as can be. You remember that one year he won the U.S. Open with a torn meniscus in his knee. And I remember a quote by him, Ronnie, because you remember the highlights when he hit the ball, he would just cringe and almost go down to the ground. And he said, I'll never forget this. He said, I knew it wasn't going to hurt until after I hit the ball. So my focus was on hitting the ball, then dealing with the pain. Now, that's some mental toughness that he might be the only one in the world that has that, don't let anything he does surprise you, but I think making the cut would be the goal. You don't think he will? I think that's the goal, and I would doubt if I'll agree with you. I don't think he will make the cut, especially, he might be okay first day, but that second day, how does the leg respond? Kind of like we talk about the injury to Baycott for the Tar Heels. We all know we've all been hurt in sports, and that's that next day when it really adds up.
Chance said no phones allowed at the Masters, and it's not allowed on after the practice rounds, right. But you can have cameras. Well, yeah, you can have cameras, and I'm wondering if I guess now they don't allow phones. It has to be a disposable. It has to be a true camera. Maybe I can't remember what I went to a couple of practice rounds before, and I know I brought cameras, and I'm wondering if I brought a phone. Maybe I guess I didn't. Maybe I actually brought a camera. But I like that. That's partly the reason why I like the practice rounds better than I do now. I've never been there on a championship Sunday at the Masters, so I mean that's probably a different atmosphere. But the practice rounds are much more fun. You access, there's less people. You can even talk to interact with the golfers if you want when they're walking by the ropes. They usually take multiple shots, so you can see them putt a few times or hit a few chips or whatever. You can you take pictures of yourself at the course, picture and your friends. You can take pictures of the golfers. It's really really cool. So I recommend if you get the chance to go to a practice round, it's hard to get. The tickets are super expensive nowadays. I tried to get some tickets, Tommy, for a group this year. This was like 2 months ago for the actual tournament. And it was going to run just for the tournament was going to run somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,000 to $2,000 a day for a badge. And that wasn't, and I'm not sure if that was championship round, but I know the first 3 days was going to be somewhere around $1,000 to $2,000 a day. And I can remember it was $500 a day not that long ago. So it's going up in price in a big, big way.
Yeah, well, it's the Masters, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to watch as much of it as I can, follow the leaderboard when I'm not by a TV. PGA radio will have it on if I happen to be in the car. So I'm looking forward to the Masters. Now, later this week, we're going to be on Thursday and Friday, not Wednesday this week. We'll be on Thursday and Friday. So obviously we'll talk a lot about the Masters on Thursday and Friday. And Ronnie, we can't go too much further without saying that Major League Baseball opens up on Thursday, regular season MLB.
Kirk Paul asking, morning guys, Ronnie, why can't LSU gain any consistency in the infield? You got me because I talked to the team and they hit a million ground balls. They're doing everything that you can physically do. And why it's not carrying over to the game is a question that, trust me, Jay Johnson is answering, because as far as the effort at practice and whatnot, it's there. And I did see an adjustment by Morgan the other game where I think it was it Thursday night, where he whiffed on that ground ball and they called it a hit, but it really was kind of an error. He didn't stay in front of it, wear it off the chest. He had bases loaded. Then another game, he actually made an adjustment and kept and get it off the chest, and then he ran and got the ball and flipped it or whatever. That's what you're supposed to do at first base. So that was good to see. Pitching once again continues to improve. The pitching is improving from a standpoint of throwing strikes. Obviously, the velocity's there. The lack of breaking ball just continues to baffle me, Tommy. I get it that there's always a couple of guys that are developmental and the breaking ball is slow to come, but it seems like outside of Hilliard, the break and a couple of guys, the breaking ball consistency is just not there. And I don't, and you just can't throw all fastball. And particularly if you're throwing fastballs down the middle and hoping it runs to a corner, because you can't really command the fastball very well. And there's a few of those guys on this team. So it just continues to baffle me why we can't find a secondary pitch that's competitive. We try it every once in a while, but it's the only way a secondary pitch, Tommy, is competitive is if when you throw the ball 10 times, over 5 times, it's 5 or more times it's a strike. And that's in the bullpen without anybody swinging. So can you command a breaking ball, a changeup, a slider, whatever, a split finger, whatever, for a strike 5 or more times when you throw it 10 times? And right now, there's too many guys on this team that just can't, and that's really disappointing, and that's going to continue to hinder LSU's growth. Want to make sure you like and share this video. Also want to tell you, look at that logo in top right corner. That's the Baton Rouge Rougarou. The Baton Rouge Rougarou is a summer college baseball team, that wood bat baseball team that plays in the Texas Collegiate League, a college league that's been around for over 15 years. You can get your season tickets June and July for games at Pete Goldsby Field at brrougarou.com. It's going to be a lot of fun. Think of minor league baseball, but with college players. We have beer daiquiris, kid zones. We have fireworks on Friday nights. We've got fun PA interaction where our PA guys run around the stadium on the field. We got a beer garden. We got a party deck. You name it, we've got it. It's going to be a lot of fun. drrugaroo.com. For Tommy Chrysan, I'm Ronnie Rance. Tell us, TK, on the way out about Court Street Cafe.
Court Street Cafe, breakfast, lunch, lunch specials, dinner specials, crawfish on Friday. Jason and the staff do a great job here. Connect on Facebook and Instagram. They make lots of posts about the specials that are coming up and other things they're involved with. They're a key part of the Port Allen and West Baton Rouge community. Court Street Cafe, 805 Court Street. Hey, a couple of minutes over the bridge. I live in basically central Baton Rouge. Took me less than 15 minutes to get here this morning. Come over the bridge, go to the right, second red light, Court Street. Take the right. They got a nice patio in the front for the good weather. If you want to get breakfast, lunch, dinner, they got bottomless mimosas on Sunday mornings. Great stuff at Court Street Cafes. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. You need to check them out. For those of you who have, you know what I'm talking about. If you hadn't been over here, be sure to check it out. If you're working downtown Baton Rouge, easy to get over here, grab some lunch, and get back to work.
All right, fellas, we'll be back on Thursday morning. Thank you, Johnny, Kirk, Chance, all the gang, Byron. Please like and share this video. We'll talk to you on Thursday. We'll talk a lot of Masters, a lot of LSU baseball going on that week, and a whole lot